This is the North End. This is the North End.
Hello and welcome to the North End podcast. You're already thinking this is better presented, and it is. It's because I'm doing it, so fantastic. Now, I am thrilled to be joined by two guys that I'm very excited to have on this week, considering what has been happening in the league this week, and particularly in the last couple of days. So we'll start with the ever charismatic JP California. JP, how you doing?
Well, it's a bag of mixed emotions.
Okay, and some good, some bad. Where if the bag was like, 60-40, 70-30, what's that swinging right now?
If this is candy bars for Halloween, I'm gonna say it's like 60% shit candy and 40% Snickers, because that's what I eat. Sneakers and Reese's peanut butter cups, and that's gonna be it.
Is there any percentage of like hidden razor blades, or we are okay?
Oh man, there's so many hidden razor blades. Like, I'm lucky my arm is still here, because this whole week could just end up in a time bomb. Who knows? Let's see.
That's been a Villa fan, I think, isn't it? Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm glad we're going to get into it, but obviously, before we do, we can't do any of it without the third member of the team. Azaz, it's great to see you again, brother. It's been a while. You and I keep missing each other, but you're looking good. You're looking well. That's a great jersey. I've not seen that top.
It's the new Allison top. He's been the only player with distinction this year for Liverpool.
God, when did Nike turn into Pumas? That looks a little tight on you, sir.
Yeah, that's the Euro fit. Luke will know all about that. We don't, for some reason, back home, we just don't do the baggy football shirts like we used to.
I'm not about it.
Yeah,
I'm not about it.
Yeah.
Keeps you guys.
Well, gents, listen. We have a lot to get through. Obviously, I want to try and keep this quite tight. Usually we have reviews, previews. We might do a little preview of the upcoming games, but we're just going to go into 3 key points this week because, well, for 2 reasons. One, Paul wasn't around to do the slate and they kind of look shitty right now. And number 2, the bigger point is I think there's more important things to be talking. So we're going to go into the breaking news for today. I'm just going to take over the whole screen here and just chuck it up. So, as we can see, Steven Gerrard has been sacked. It is official. It's not JP posting the wrong Twitter handle. An underscore through JP. He's still a bit of a junior on that. But yeah, Steven Gerrard has been sacked after a humiliating 3-0 defeat to a recently promoted Fulham, making them look like Man City. Obviously, rumored. There was a lot of talks. The bookies, even coming into this game, had suspended betting, but we know it's a bad state of affairs. So I'm gonna pop this down. Obviously, at the bottom there, another key point for us to discuss. But JP, let's start with you first. What does this mean for Villa? Like, what are we saying right now?
It really is a mixed bag of emotions. Like I was saying, the result was terrible. The game itself was horrendous. Villa played terrible against Fulham today, and Fulham struggle. What up, Bobby? Fulham struggle to keep a clean sheet at home, and we never tested their goalie. We looked second best to everything. We didn't win anything out of the park. We passed the ball out of bounds by 10 times, trying just to make a simple pass. It was bad. It was the worst performance for Villa this whole season, and he needed to go. Now, the problem is twofold. One, these are a lot of the same players from Dean Smith. So a lot of these players are starting to show that they have a lot of errors in them when they're not coached well. And B, that new bounce from Steven Gerrard was real for him. He did really well in the first month and a half. And now I'm kind of concerned that the players that we have are just not good enough across the board. They're not good enough. We need to tear shit up and start over. This leaves us 2 big options. One is we can get a top manager in and spend a lot of money, or we can do the smart thing, and that is appoint a director of football, remove our CEO from having control of that side of the game, and let him start to build an organization with a game plan, with a system to it, with a blueprint, if you will. Because Villa, for too long, since Dean Smith, honestly, we haven't really had a blueprint, and we've never had a blueprint from a CEO down.
I think it's been just to add to your point and let you continue, JP. I think not only have we not had a blueprint, I think it's been apparent. I think what we've done is we've seen new guys come in, whether it was Dean Smith, who did very well. We loved him, but obviously it was time for Dean to go. Like let's call
he
it
has
spade.
limitations.
He did. But then even prior to him, from I'd say Randy Lerner getting rid of, like Martin O'Neill leaving, it's just been manager after manager, and we haven't had, for me, going on Blueprint, I go as far as saying identity. I think the Villa identity we had in the 90s and early 2000s was just gone. And we've been trying, and we keep convincing ourselves that it's going to come. And Stevie J, comes in, tries to stamp his authority. Obviously, fair play to him. He'd done something in Scotland, and he'd done fairly well. But obviously, I think absolutely, I had my reservations from day one, and especially, there was a lot of talk about Purslow. What Purslow does very well is he talks very well. I've seen him in
he's just like you, dude. He's like 5 foot, 5'1".
Yeah, he is.
And he's just a great talker.
He's a brilliant talker, mate. He's very, very charismatic. He listens and he responds. The problem is I don't actually know if there's a whole lot of knowledge and real intelligence. I'm not saying he's stupid, but like the real masterminds of football, I don't Purslow, that is not what he is. And so, we've got a Liverpool fan here. I want to pass it over to Azaz quickly. Azaz, obviously, Purslow, a big name at Liverpool, as well as Gerrard, obviously helping you through. I think Purslow really helped that big transition in the 2010, 2011. He was the guy who drove that obviously the new purchase of the club. So he was the guy brought in. You know of him. What do you make of Purslow? Let alone Stevie G? Like, have at it.
Mixed emotions on everything as well. I think that's the theme of the show. For Purslow, I think we'll always be eternally grateful that he got Hicks and Gillette out of the club. Obviously, like such a messy situation for Liverpool. And then, as soon as the sale was done, he was gone. So there are fans who definitely associate him with that last season as well. And, obviously prior to that, he was a banker. So like, I think he's got pedigree as a business person. I don't necessarily I don't see the football side. He obviously also then had a stint at Chelsea as well. And
he was in the finances there. He never got above the finances, which was key.
Yeah, global commercial, I think he was. So, I mean, the thing with Purslow is it's one of those things where you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's very apparent nowadays that when you actually can see where the substance there, I think people see through the hot air. Man, I couldn't agree more. Like, I feel like he's able to answer the questions like the typical charismatic person who's like, I heard what you said, now I'm just going to either say it back to you and not answer the question.
Right.
Or I'm going to answer the question and I don't know if I'm ever going to follow through with this, but it's what you want to hear in the moment. So you will back off.
Yeah, the thing for me about Purslow is he is good in the finances. I love the design, the new come up, the new stadium addition they need to do at Villa Park. I love that stuff. I love a lot of the background stuff he's done, but he's not the soccer guy that we need. Now, we had a blueprint for purchasing players. They were young, they were top championship players, and we weren't afraid to spend money on guys like Emi Buendia, Matty Cash, Oli Watkins, Tyrone Mings, and Ezri Konsa, guys like John McGinn. We had a blueprint, and as soon as Steven Gerrard came in, it was kind of like, well, let's just throw that away. And then we were buying a bunch of 29-year-olds like Luka Dean, who I think Luka Dean is a top player. I think Philip Coutinho on his day is great, but he is not playing well and has not been playing well. Diego Carlos, only saw a few matches, not 100% sure on him. Kamara is amazing. But we also got a few guys that no one talks about, like Den Donker and Bednarak and Callum Chambers. And so we're adding other guys that we're not utilizing, and that's not a good money aspect to the club. Den Donker started 2 matches. Callum Chambers, I think, literally started 1 match this whole season, and has only started about 3 or 4 since he's moved in since February. So for me, we really need a coach we need a coach. We don't need a manager. We need a coach who's going to come in and coach our boys up to play to a higher level, because that's what Dean Smith did. He coached the boys up. Steven Gerrard expected him to always be there, and when shit went south, he couldn't coach them back up. And so their morale, their confidence, their persona, everything about them just lacks inspiration
Well,
right now.
I think it's a brilliant point, and just to throw back to you quickly, JP, and as well, obviously, just from a commentary from a more general perspective.
Yes,
you look at the money that Villa have spent, right? We got this great deal for Jack Grealish. I think a Villa fan that says we shouldn't have taken the deals at full because 100 million is 100 million. It's a shame to lose him. I'd love him to still be at the club, but 100 million changes. Now, I feel, and what has ultimately we're seeing, Gerrard got unlucky a couple of times. Boubacar Kamara, very good player. Carlos looked like a really solid centre-back, 29, peak of his career. Very, very few injuries his whole career. 2 massive injuries. Luca Digne, great player, looking good. Injury. Like, he's had bad luck, I get that. But we look at the other players he signed, right? We look at the Leon Baileys, the Danny Ings, the Coutinho, the Buendia. Like, there's a lot of players that we've signed for a lot of money, and specifically the money that we got for Jack. And all it seems to have done is we seem to have just padded out a B team. I don't feel that we've actually replaced Jack. We didn't replace that 65 million winger that can take a man on, that can beat down the wing. And it just, we've ended up in this weird position. So like JP first, like, what do you make? We have to look at the transfer business because we were positive when it started. Now we're seeing the transitions we're looking. And honestly, for me, JP, I look at the squad and I go, who the hell are we going to bring on that's going to make a difference? Buendia comes off the bench, can't do it all. Coutinho hasn't returned a goal or an assist in 21 appearances. That's frightening. Frightening.
We look like a combination. We look like Frankenstein. We look like a machine, a monster that's been stemmed together from different people, right? We got Emi Buendia, Leon Bailey, and Danny Ings. And if you look across those three, not like Leon Bailey played terrible tonight. Danny Ings, he is a top striker who looks super out of form and looks like he doesn't fit our system. And Emi Buendia, we got to unpick the locks, and then we spent 20 million on Philip Coutinho right after of a similar player, literally South American flair, and we bench our 35 million for Philip Coutinho, who can't do it in 20 matches. So it's really looking like Purslow, who is agreeing to this, is completely out of his depth because he doesn't understand more intricate items in football, like team building.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Azaz, any more you'd add to that?
Specifically about Villa, like, I think I've obviously not watched the 90 minutes of Villa like you two have, so you're a much bigger authority on Villa. From what I've seen, whether it is like the odd full game here and there or like highlights, I do think that you've been let down from the goal. I have to say, like, I don't know if any team can get away with the amount of chances you miss. Then I understand that there's some games where if I'm watching the highlights and I watch Ollie Watkins miss 3 sitters, that's not a real reflection of the game. But from what I have seen, unbelievably wasteful at the top end. Like, I think that's one thing I would say. The second thing I would say is this isn't pro Steven Gerrard, but obviously I naturally skew that way because he's such a big part of my upbringing.
Really?
But I do think that the question is who is going to come in, because if Pochettino or and I know we're going to get onto that, if someone of that ilk has been lined up, then cool. Like, Stevie got a year. A year is a long time these days. Amazing. If you are going to move to someone who's like either relatively like the same standard from an experience perspective, or, like, I just don't know where you go from here unless someone big is lined up, because we could be here in a year's time and it could be the same thing again. Do I think Villa are going down? No. Do I think Villa were going down with Steven Gerrard? No. Like, I do think that it was going to be a painful year, but like, for me, this the how wise this move is will come obviously with what happens next. But like, you lose like this today against Fulham, and if someone's already on the edge, then you're gonna go. You're gonna go.
Yeah.
So like, that's a hard thing to say that.
And I think we'll just follow it up. Obviously we'll have a quick chat on maybe managers, but just before we do, this is what happened, right? So today, just before he's been sacked, and it's immediately, and get this, apparently Steven Gerrard is traveling back on the bus with the players because he wants to do a goodbye at Bodymore, the training ground, when they get back. Now, I'll give him his dues, fair play. He does seem like he's, he commits to it. I wouldn't, you can pay me enough to be in that situation, but that's on him. But today's results, right? We're 3-0 loss to Fulham. A horrendous sending off, JP, I think, as well. It's a very quick. How that gets given is.
I think it was a sending off. Honestly, if you do that motion, yeah, honestly, I do. I think if you make that motion, and when the referee has to go to VAR, it's over. You have to call it.
No, I don't. I
got something too, but I honestly do think it was red card. I don't think it was a PK. Because Matty Cash comes in, he's 1 yard from the ball. He turns his shoulder and he's in the motion of bringing his arm to his chest when the ball hits his hand on a low percentage cross. I think that was a BS one, but I do actually get the Dougie Luiz red card.
I disagree on that one, but I think Luiz was lucky last week. I think he has a tendency to make that initial movement.
Does that, yeah.
Mitrovic made an absolute meal of it and should have been booked. But yeah, the statistics at the end of the day,
Wait, Azaz, tell us your thoughts, bro.
So I have two thoughts about this. The first one is Mitrovic has been doing that since the first game of the season because he literally did that to Van Dijk, and because it happened to Liverpool, everybody just laughed. Ultimately, if right there and then he had been stopped, who knows what he would have been doing today. So that's one thing I would say. My bigger concern is that the same referee gave the penalty today that he didn't give against Arsenal at the Emirates. It's the same referee and it's the same situation. I'm not saying whether it's a penalty or not. If it's a penalty at Emirates, it's a penalty today. If it's not a penalty at the Emirates, it's not a penalty today.
Unless he was told he should have been given it.
So then he needs to come out and admit his mistakes. Then, do referees need to come out? I think they need to. But I think you all know my opinions on the standard of Premier League refereeing. So that's probably a topic for another conversation or another show. I won't get too into my feelings on that one. But realistically, I don't like the inconsistency. Do I think it was a penalty? No, I don't think it was a penalty. But at the same time, for me, what irks me in that situation, nothing to do with Stevie, nothing to do with anything, is the fact that literally 2 weeks ago, the same guy didn't give a penalty.
And it's not even that, is it? It's the fact that it's not even a one-off. We've had the exact same conversation last game week, referring to the previous game week, and this is the problem. And how heads aren't rolling, and the clubs aren't getting together. But for me, if I was a club, I'd be putting lawsuits in. I'd literally be you're costing clubs potentially tens of thousands of pounds of ticket revenue. You could cost them Premier League status. There's so many. You could cost them the league,
a job.
Yeah, absolutely. So 100%. The whole thing is a mess. But right now, just before we move on, I do want to move on. Obviously, favorite right now is Pochettino. The rumors are that Villa are going to try an audacious 10 million a year with 100 million kitty ready to go. And just to, obviously prerequisite for anyone that doesn't know, Villa's ownership right now is obscene. So Nassif, who owns along with Wes Edens, is I think he's worth about 5 or 6 billion. Edens doesn't even hit the billion mark. So he's a cheap kind of guy in the modern day, But Nassif is the big money, and he's in. He wants to play. I was just Googling just out of interest. I'm sure you guys maybe have an idea. I'll ask JP because I think he might not know. Do you know who the highest paid manager in the world is, JP?
I want to say I do know this. I want to say it is. I keep thinking Eddie Howe. I want to say Eddie Howe.
No, it's well. That's I can understand why you do, but you're nowhere near Azaz.
You know what? I'm like JP too. It's on the tip of my tongue. Is it Conte? Is it Antonio Conte?
No,
is it Jose? Jose Mourinho?
in the world, and he's been unchallenged for years. Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone.
Oh, yeah.
He's paid 40 million euros.
Oh my gosh.
He makes 3.33 million euros average a month, and the second nearest is Pep at 1.8. He makes almost double what Pep makes.
Wow.
So they locked him down, and he ain't going anywhere.
He ain't going nowhere.
Anyways, listen, it looks like Pochettino. This will obviously be a congested week or 2 weeks now for Villa. We need something. Villa are desperate, and I think we all agree we're happy to see the back end of this. So, interesting. Now, JP, we can relax. As the other guys aren't here, let's really tear into them. First things first. This delightful fucking thing. So Ronaldo storms off in typical Ronaldo fashion. He has made a bit of a, this isn't a one-off for him. So storms down, about 30 seconds left on the clock if no one's seen it, plus the 4 minutes of added time. He storms out. Not only does he leave the pitch, he goes into the change room, gets his stuff, and leaves the stadium. Now, United have responded. Ten Hag has come back and said he's dropped. He will not be anywhere near the squad, let alone starting against Chelsea on the weekend. In the recent last couple hours, Ronaldo's put out an Instagram post, talks about his professionalism, blah, 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 and basically reaffirms it feels like a press thing. It's like, oh, I'm committed to the team. I should have known better. I'm very committed. I'm not going anywhere. But I think this is definitely something we need to talk about. What is Ronaldo right now for United? For me, he's nothing more than a headache. So I'd love to see your. Well, he just isn't. He's not in. Ten Hag has got the balls to drop him, and he's petulant. He doesn't like, and you can understand why he doesn't. He's one of the greatest of all time, but he doesn't work hard enough. He is super fit, but he doesn't track, and the other players do. The Rashford, yes, he's not as consistently on the finishing, but he works hard for that team, and the players coming in now work hard for that team. And I think United, they're not, Paul and David, they're not upset to see him on the bench.
No.
So, what do we make of this?
So I'll go first. So my thing is, I don't understand if anybody who watched Juve towards the latter half of Ronaldo's Juve career, or last season, if anybody really watched United without wanting to be a Ronaldo fanboy, I don't understand how you can possibly suggest Ronaldo can play in big matches anymore, because he can't, right? Ultimately, if you play against Ronaldo Juventus or Man United last season or this season with Ronaldo playing, you are effectively playing with 10 men unless there's a golden opportunity, which he's putting in the net. Like there's no question about that. So then you look at the statistics. So basically, until United beat Tottenham, I believe earlier this season, Ronaldo hadn't won a big game. Ronaldo's team hadn't won a big game for about 2 years. That's a real stat, like a real statistic. If it was a Champions League knockout, if it was a top 3 Serie A team, if it was a top 3 Premier League team, Ronaldo's team hadn't won in about 2 years. The problem is that there's 2 problems here. 3. Number 1, him and his sister, right? That's one. Like the whole Instagram, the this, the that. Number 2, it's his old United teammates who the joke is the WhatsApp group, where they pretend Messi doesn't exist. You weirdos, you're really weird if you pretend that Lionel Messi doesn't exist because you want to hold your boy up. And then the third thing is clearly his adoring fan boys and fangirls around the world who just won't let it go. Look, one of the greatest players of all time, I have him number 3 or number 4. Just saying that makes me an instant target for people who for some reason think that like Cristiano Ronaldo's standing is a personal reflection on them because they think he's the best player of all time. It's Messi. He is no pun intended.
It is Messi.
It's a headache. The truth is, the minute he signed back for Man United, I knew this was going to happen. So, I can't pretend like I'm not enjoying it. But
it's great. It is great. And
it is great.
And he'd wrap it into a positive, but there's no positive here.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say before I hand it over to JP, I have to say, Man United are pretty impressive this season. Like, Man United are pretty good, but he's not part of it. He's not part of it. Like, Man U against Tottenham were really good.
Oh, man.
Yeah, okay, fine.
They were good.
Yeah, fine. They got dismantled against Man City. Cool, no problem. But, like, in other games as well, they've really stood up to be counted, right? And, like, against Arsenal, totally different game to Tottenham. Against Arsenal, they showed that they can withstand pressure and counterattack and, you know, like, they mixed it up. And that was one of my criticisms of Tottenham this week, which is they only play one way against big teams. Man United have shown 2 or 3 different ways of playing big matches this year already. So, yeah, cool.
JP, what are you thinking?
First off, I think you got to throw up New Stage's little comment here, which is just ludicrous. Maradona was just hopped up on every drug possible. Maybe that's how he was so good. I mean, the dude literally had cocaine in his pocket during matches and would use it when he fell down.
JP, I know, but what if you haven't already? I don't know if it's a Netflix one or it was
HBO.
It's HBO. The one when he went to Napoli. If you need to watch that, JP, because honestly, I didn't understand. I know Maradona. I know how good he was. I know what he did. But in that same season, he carried this Napoli team, which had scraped survival, to literally moving up. I think the next season they win, the Serie A, and in the same year he takes Argentina, beats England, who are joint favorites, demolishes everyone, makes everyone look like children, and carries not only his club team and his international team to victory.
But how long was Maradona really at the top of his game?
Sure,
like,
but
5 years maybe.
Yeah, but there's a difference then, because you're talking about athletes. Right now,
right? You can only do it for 3 or 5 years when you're doing that many drugs.
Well, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. It's true. Look at Elvis. It's like it's entertainment. And when there's so much money involved now, they're not allowed to. Back then, you turned a blind eye to Maradona. Listen, you turned a blind eye to sexual abuse in Hollywood for 30 years.
We're getting off topic.
Maradona doing a bit of drugs, that wasn't a bother. And you knew that's how they got him to Napoli. That's half of that was literally part of his contract. But yeah, listen, I still think, JP, like, what do you make of this situation with Ronaldo right now? Because I don't see this improving, and I don't see him with a big apology on Instagram suddenly getting back in that team. Ten Hag knows how this team works. It looks good, and why the fuck would you mess with that?
So here's my take. I'm going to take a little bit of devil's advocate too, because I feel like I just can't be the same answer as you guys. So I got to find something that makes sense. Ronaldo is good for 25 to 30 goals a season. Tell me I'm wrong.
I'd say 20. I don't this season. Yeah, maybe.
Track bully. I'd play 100%, him against lower league.
That's just it. He needs 100%. To play against the bottom 10, and I bet you he could still come out with 20, 25 goals in matches where you need a poacher to be there, because some of those teams, they dig down, they take the low block, they hold on their own, and you can have him just floating around the box and doing that if you can set it up well. And you can do it. And I think Ten Hag has the personnel to do that. They're missing just one guy, but Ten Hag's done something really important for me. Now, Dave Connery, I love you, Dave Connery. I love you, Paul Forrest, but you guys are fuck out of luck, because Fred is a baller. Fred is not a baller because he can dribble guys and Cruyff it and all this shit. He's a baller because he's Conte-esque work habit. He is a runner. He is a workhorse. He is going to give you that. And if you can get the right system with Fred, not in a 6 role, but in an 8 role, and you can get Ronaldo up top, I think you can still beat the lower half of the Premier League handedly and still get him 20 goals a season. And that's how you keep him for the rest of the season. And then you fucking sell his ass as soon as January or the summer comes, because you can't keep him if he's going to be sulking around like this. That's the big thing, is he can't do that. If he's going to be at the club, he can't do that.
Can I just say one thing really quickly? I think anybody who has a counterpoint to the 2 things, the 3 things we've all said, that please go and have a look at the Juventus results.
Comment.
Just have a look at the results for Juventus against Inter, AC Milan, and Atalanta. Look at United's results last year against the top 4. Look at Portugal's results anytime they played a proper team, and then there's no question. It's at that point, it's not a debate. You can't have a guy. There's one common denominator. And I know the funny thing about Ronaldo and Messi and other people is people will get really emotional about the fact that, well, he's not one guy. It's one guy. Like, it's not his. Yeah, if he happens to, like, be part of a team that beats Bayern Munich, all the praise goes to Ronaldo or Messi or, you know, whoever. So, no, like, you can't possibly explain the fact that his teams have never won those matches and he's barely scored other than penalties. It's pretty damning. But I do think he'd still be all right against some of the lower teams where United have got all the ball.
If he would get 5 goals against Leeds, man. Leeds are a calamitous at the back sometimes.
Didn't he last
oh my God, against Bournemouth or Forest. Damn, he would get 10 goals just against Forest alone.
Yeah, and I think games like that he'll feature.
Yeah, and no one can deny the legend. Like, you can't deny how great he is in the history of football, particularly modern football, but just ever. But, like, if you want him to play now against big teams, like, no, that's like playing with 10 men.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair point. I think it's, you know, I'm still enjoying it. You know, United fans were insufferable arseholes for the longest amount of time.
It's so great right now having United fans where, like, their results are like throw the dice. Like, they can play great. Sometimes they play like ass. Sometimes they play Ronaldo and he throws a fit. He doesn't play, he throws a fit. It's so much fun to watch because, God, they're just not perfect anymore.
Yeah, and it's always fun when they respond with, yeah, but you're crap. It's like, we've been crap for a long time. We're okay with it. We
literally couldn't make your 5 things videos because you were so depressed after United lost 3 games in a row. How do you think we do this?
Exactly. We just roll through them now. But talking of being depressed, let's not forget about Brian Ireland. I just love this. And I'm going to start by saying this. I have a huge amount of respect for Brian Ireland. Okay, as an individual, as a person who works, he's a nice guy. Brian really passionate about his channel. If you haven't, go check them out. Obviously, they're Tottenham on tour. It's brilliant, really good stuff. Now, the other side of it, the most one-dimensional fan is if Brian Ireland was a fish, he wouldn't last a day, right? And there are fish, and if anyone has ever fished, there are fish that you catch repeated amount of times, and you look at it and go, you're the same fucking fish I caught 2 minutes ago because you've got the same mark in your head, or you've got the same hook stuck in your head. Brian Ireland's like, the moment you bait him, he bites, and as someone from England, I just can't help myself. But this is very interesting, and I do wish Brian was here because this is such a damning statement, and it's something that I think we all agree on. And to quote exactly, when the level is high, we struggle. This is an actual quote from Conte after losing 2-0 to United the other day. Now, is this a plea for more money? Is this him trying to manage expectations? And more importantly, guys, what the actual hell? Because look at that Tottenham team, right? Look at the players that they have. Look at the players that they've picked up. And even, just Son up front, Kane up front, Bentancur, Bissouma, Højbjerg in the middle. You've got Eric, you've got Romero, you've got Hugo Lloris, a World Cup winner. Off the bench, you've got Lucas Moura, who's won the Champions League. You've got Davinson Sanchez, decent player. Ryan Sessegnon, good young player. Oliver Skip, fairly decent. You've got quality still in that team. You've got Longley, the French centre back, who's not getting a look in. For me, I'm just going to say this and pass it over. It is unacceptable to have this depth of a squad. Now, you've used it for excuses over these. Oh, we're rebuilding. Oh, we're not there. We're not there. Don't put us there. But right now, it's not acceptable. You have the squad. All you're doing right now is you're proving how Spursy you really are. You're leaning into that title. And for me, it's just ridiculous. And I've heard some of them go, oh, well, do you know what? We love, I like hearing that honesty from him. I'm sorry, I don't. I go, well, why the hell are we not sorting it? Because we want to be taken seriously. We spent £1 billion on this brand new stadium. Daniel Levy. He spends the money. He gives you the transfer budget. So there's no excuse. Liverpool right now, is struggling. Paul. Let's get into it. Azaz, crack on.
Yeah. So, also love Brian. I think the problem is
Next one up.
You know, like Jose Mourinho did that rant when he was a United, manager, and he was going on about football heritage. I think it's pretty important, and it's at play here because just going back to what I was saying in our WhatsApp channel today, in May, effectively ending our title bid, Liverpool entertained Tottenham at Anfield right at the start of May, and it was 1-1. Son scored first, and Luis Diaz equalised. Now, on that day, it was 65% possession to Liverpool, 35% to Tottenham, and we had 22 shots and they had 8. Now, they made some really good chances and could have won the match because they've got quality players. So if you put quality players in a smash and grab system, they've got a better chance of making better chances than if you've got a smash and grab team from the middle of the league or the bottom of the league. But that's still not how a big team approaches a game. Now, a win's a win. Cool. Jose Mourinho won a lot of trophies playing a certain style of way. He won the Champions League with Porto playing a certain style of way. So who am I to argue with the fact that that works? But like, number one, Tottenham we grew up on Tottenham having this, as much as they were Spursy on this side, they were showy and flashy. And, you know, look at the players, the Glenn Hoddles, the Paul Gascoignes, the Teddy Sheringham's. They had like great players on this side. Luka Modric, Gareth Bale. So I think the problem here is Spurs lack a little bit of an identity at the moment with Conte on board because he's approaching these big matches defensively. And obviously, Spurs fans are desperate for trophies at the moment because it's 2008 was a long time ago. So they will accept that this is a world-class manager and this is how he's approaching a game. But like, I wouldn't be okay if my team went somewhere against a big team and played like that. Like, I wouldn't think we played better. And, you know, under Gerrard, Houllier and Rafa Benitez, that used to happen. And I used to not like it. You know, like I used to be like, and we won some games. We used to beat Man United. We used to do the double on Man United a couple of times with Gerrard, Houllier, 1-0, 1-0. But I always used to be like, yeah, but I kind of want more. And, you know, like, did I celebrate when we nicked the FA Cup?
Okay.
But like, so that's what I would say there is like, that's the problem with this situation. Now, just to wrap up my thinking is, so what's Conte on about? Because surely he's the person doing this, isn't he? Like 8-9 months into it, like how are Tottenham going into this match against Man United with a lower mentality and it's not the manager's fault? I don't know. Because like you, I rate the players. I think their squad is stacked. I think their squad is great. And I do think Conte's a great manager. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not having a go at Conte. I just don't get there's just a bit of a disconnect here that I don't really get. And maybe someone in the comments, because I know Tottenham fans are listening, might be able to elaborate. But like, it just seems a bit disconnected to me at the moment.
It does, and I'll defend them in, you know, like they're probably sat there going, "Oh, this Liverpool fan, that some of his stuff he says is ridiculous." Right now, though, we just take it where it is, and I think the difference with that and something like a Klopp has won the right to have a bad game, to have a bad couple of weeks, to have a transition season because of what he's done. Whereas Tottenham have transitioned through managers. They brought in Conte, they were raving about, Brian's raving about it. They want him. And this is the issue. Now, JP, I'm going to throw to you, but quickly, it's not all doom and gloom. They're still joint second, although City have a game in hand. And Chelsea are 3 points behind them, so they'd equal, but they're still sat in third. So it's not the end of the world. But this is an interesting one. Just quickly, Paul, good lad.
We got it. Look
Boom.
at Danny. Bam.
Daniel.
There we go.
Daniel, you're
Danny.
a legend. We won't forget you, Daniel. Trust me, we will not forget you. Really interesting comment as well by Arben earlier. United were 19 last season for the most balls won in the final third and dead last in another start where team doesn't have the ball. Interesting. I'm not sure how that really transitions
I'd like to see where it would be right now.
Yeah, I think it would be quite a bit different. I think his point is, I think United are playing a very different setup. But
I think he's talking about Ronaldo. I feel like it's like an earlier comment because
probably
talking about
probably
United.
Yeah, that's probably, and that's a fair point. Anyways, listen, heading back, JP, I know you want to get into this. I'm going to throw up this wonderful comment as one, but go for it, JP. Let us know.
So the big thing, first thing I got to go is I got to go at Zaz here real quick, saying he was unhappy that they won 1-0. They were playing just kind of defensive football. It was defense first, and this goes back to a larger topic, right? Which is it how you win or just winning? Because
what context?
No, that is the context. That is all of it. Because if you defend stoutly and you're a defense heavy team, you're Jose Mourinho, Rafa Benitez, Gerrard, whoever, and you win 1-0, 35 games of the season, and you win the title, does it matter how you did it?
No.
But you said you got.
But we didn't win the league. But we didn't win the league.
But you won more games than you lost.
Sure, but we didn't win the league. So
coming from somebody who doesn't win, it would matter.
Sure. No, but we did win the league playing the Jurgen Klopp way. So really, it's hard. It's hard, man, because there's so many leagues under both of them, Julia and Benitez, where we weren't competitive because we used to draw too many games because we were a defensive team.
This is going to get me to the next topic.
Okay,
right?
go.
So when managers come in who have been in other leagues don't necessarily have the competitiveness that the EPL has, right?
Mm-hmm.
For what was it? Juventus won Italy for like 8 years straight. Something stupid. It's Spain, it's Real Madrid, or it's Barcelona, and that's it. It's Bayern Munich in Germany. That's it. It's PSG in France. If you get one of those coaches, and Conte is a good coach, a top-level coach, and you come in, you're not in the old league. You don't just get to play free-flowing football like you did back there. You can't just impose what you did there into your new club. Klopp learned the same thing right off the bat. You have to adjust, and making that adjustment doesn't work for a lot of coaches. Didn't work for Steven Gerrard. He got his ass handed to him. It's not working for Conte either. He's even said multiple times, I'm not used to these type of games. I'm used to just blowing out a league. I think he's found this league is much harder than the last time he was here. He got lucky with Chelsea because he had a great team and he had a finisher and everything. And I think it's not working for him at Spurs. And I think so. No, if it's gonna get them that top three.
I would actually jump on that and go even further, and a controversial, and I don't really care. I've never put Conte in that top legion of top class managers. He's always been talked about, and it's almost as if his name gets added to the list. I don't think if you ask them available managers, they didn't go Conte, right? Then his name comes up and they go, oh yeah, he is. But it's like, actually, no, you hesitated because he really isn't. Like, he's achieved little bits. Okay, Serie A, and he's achieved bits here, and Chelsea is
he won Chelsea.
But it wasn't beautiful. It wasn't like dominating. It wasn't Klopp coming in and changing the face. It wasn't Pep coming in and changing the face. It wasn't Alex Ferguson changing the face. It was kind of underwhelming. And yes, they did it. But then he threw his toys out in typical Conte fashion, as he's done. I can see him doing the same thing at Tottenham. He came in with big demands. I want this. He got this. He stole transfers off Villa. He stole transfers off other teams. They took it. They said, we want Basuma, we want this guy, we want that guy. They bought well.
He spent a lot.
He spent a lot
for a team that looked like that against United.
Richarlison, all this, right? And Richarlison's out injured. That's unlucky. But this is still a rebuild season for United. Like, this is Ten Hag really drilling in the way he wants to play. And they didn't lose that game. They got humbled. They really got humbled. It was not Tottenham were in it and it was unlucky. At least from what I saw, I didn't see the full 90, but they did not look good. So I find it a bit insufferable at times. I'll be honest. I find it a bit insufferable, and I think there's going to be a lot of difference. If I was to put you on the spot, we're going to say $100 bet now at Spurs finishing top 3, yes or no?
Not now.
I had them as 3 at the start of the season, but
I did too.
Liverpool.
But I don't know if I would do it now.
At number 2 at the start of the season. I still think they come in the top 4, yeah.
Okay,
but that's not the question. He said,
no.
They might get 4th. I can
3.
see them getting top 4 and 4th, but I don't see them top 3. I think Arsenal are playing beautiful football, and everyone says they don't have the stamina for first place, and that might be true, but they might still get second.
The thing, sorry, just to elaborate on that point, the thing is, you play the season, right? And the way the chips are falling for Arsenal, you know, they could have had to play Man City yesterday or Wednesday, and they didn't have to, so they can go full pelt on the weekend and like take the next bit easy. Now they might play Man City in the after the World Cup. They might play Man City with a full week's rest. So
for sure,
Chip, you know, things can fall in the way that Arsenal. I'm impressed with Arsenal, though. I know
I am as well.
It's been a long time coming, and I know that Arteta has a lot of detractors, but I have to say, from what I saw against us, even against United in defeat, you can tell a lot about a team in defeat, right? And even against United, like I was pretty impressed with them as well. So
100%. And I think great points. I will go just one further and say I'm not sure about Tottenham for top 3 or even top 4. The reason being, even the next couple of weeks before going into the World Cup, Newcastle, that is not an easy game right now. Newcastle are playing very good football.
So good.
That'll be a big. That's coming up this weekend. Then they've got Bournemouth, and Bournemouth have got deceptively decent results. The first couple of games of the season, I thought, oh dear, they're in big trouble, and they're actually playing not bad football. I think Tottenham will win that. Then 6th of November, they got Liverpool. So could I see them losing 2 of those 3 games? I could, with how Newcastle are playing, and Liverpool need to keep winning if they're going to have any idea. So for me, if Tottenham can get a good result against Newcastle, even a draw, they beat Bournemouth and they can beat Liverpool, I think yes. If they can't and they come into it and they go into the World Cup, they've got one more against Leeds in out of that top 4, I think it's going to be hard, because right now they've got a lot of tough games. When they come back in January, they've got Crystal Palace playing decent football, they've got Arsenal, they've got City, they've got Chelsea. Like, they've got a lot of tough games left. So I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting one. But I'm just going to throw up a couple of the comments here. Arben, yes, thank you so much for clarifying that. And it was a really good start. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to obviously have you along over the next couple of weeks. And New Stage with a good one as well here. Chuck this up.
Fucking, you're crazy. That's like the boys on here saying, oh, Holland's only going to get 20, 25 goals. I'm sorry, New Stage. I think you are loaded on drugs right now, because that is not happening. Holland's going to get 45 goals. They're going to win the league. It's going to be easy.
I think New Stage was transitioning from a previous ball-shaped sport, maybe dodgeball, and he's just gone, you know what, let's just chuck it out there. Either that or, just don't go say that out loud, because people have been taken away for less. New Stage. We love having you here, but that's just nonsense. Cool. Other than that, I'm going to put that down, and I'm just going to wrap it, like, gents. I'm not going to do previews or reviews. I think this was enough. I think this was beautiful, great chat. I think Villa have got a lot to do. I think Tottenham have a lot to prove, and I think Ronaldo's Ronaldo. He's not going to change, and I think January an offer comes in. Does he go to the Middle East? That's the last question. Will he take it on?
No,
he won't do that.
He'd rather go to the MLS. He wants Champions League, but he would rather go to the MLS than Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Okay, here's the question: if he goes, where does he go? Where does he go? New York.
It's gotta have to be
Miami, LA. It has to be a big city.
Beckham, Miami, David Beckham.
Could be Miami.
He hasn't got the money for him. There's a lot of talk about money's not great there, and they obviously spent they shit the pants and spewed it all on the fat old Higuain. So
Galaxy
I don't know.
Would love to have him.
I think it's an interesting one. New Stage is back. God bless him. He's making up for those previous nonsensical comments. Miami or LA. Yeah, I think it's a fair shout. I think probably LA, I'd guess. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and the rest of you, thank you for joining us. It's been a great time to chat. We are going to be back with more content. If you don't already, hit that subscribe button. We're not doing this for fun. Well, we are. That's a total lie. We are. But we don't want to be. We want JP to be able to buy something better than that piece of crap cat that he's got in the background. Azaz actually lives in a kitchen. He doesn't own any like that. Is unfortunately a whole apartment. So we want to expand on that. So please drop us a like. But we love doing this. JP, Azaz do fantastic 5-thing videos every week talking about. We've got Crystal Palace coming in hot, and United, and sometimes Tottenham when they can pull their finger out their ass. But other than that, thank you for joining us. And Neil, what a great
what a great one. So I love it.
Wow.
You deserve.
What a guy.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Neil.
So
we love
Do
having
we have
you,
a comment of the week? We need a comment
This is it. Like,
Do you know
This is
what?
our
We're
comment of the
starting
month.
it. We are starting it. Neil, you're in. You don't win anything
know,
right
bro.
now, but give us a bit of time. Maybe we can get a t-shirt, like a crap t-shirt. We can chuck it. It'll be great. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. JP, Azaz, obviously a pleasure having you. Anything before we get out of here?
Let's see what happens with Villa with this fucking new manager. That's a quick one. The last time we hired Steven Gerrard in 5 days after we fired our first coach. I don't think they would fire him unless they had somebody they were in the works.
Agree.
So let's see what happens quick.
Please, God, we're hoping. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, have a safe weekend, and we'll see you soon. God bless. Subscribe. See ya.
This is the North End.